Is getting consistent flow of patients a challenge? When one avenue dries up, you could really feel the dip in patient numbers and income. Well, when what are the best avenues to be attracting patients? It's good to have more than just one that you're relying on and counting on. And one way to do that is by getting more referrals from providers. This is Chen Yen, your 6 and 7 figure practice makeover mentor at introvertedvisionary.com and your host of our Chiro Secure show. Today, we're going to talk about 3 ways to get more provider referrals so that you can focus on seeing patients and not worry so much about where you're going to actually find them and how. So, getting referrals from providers is a great avenue because many times patients, if they've heard about you through someone they already trust, then they're more likely to start care and follow through with it. Also, there are different kinds of practitioners you could be getting referrals from, resulting in you having to do less marketing. For example, you could be getting referrals from medical doctors, other kinds of practitioners as well. Let's just talk about medical doctors. Medical doctors have thousands of patients in their practices, and many would be willing to refer if they knew about you and trusted in you. Also, remember there are other kinds of providers aside from medical doctors. There are nurses, nurse practitioners. I have clients who are nurses and nurse practitioners, and they say, "Hey, don't forget about us. It's actually easier to get a hold of us." And so, PAs, also PT, even though some of you may feel like, well, they might see us as competition, if you are able to communicate what you could do that's different from what they can do for their patients, there's still an opportunity to get referrals that way too. There are also different kinds of providers, psychologists and psychiatrists, primary care kinds of providers, and some of you who are doing more specialty kinds of things. For example, you're in pediatric chiropractic or functional medicine or nutrition. There are all kinds of different types of providers you could also be reaching out to for referrals. And imagine even if you remember, I mentioned that medical doctors have thousands of patients in their practices. Well, even if you were to be getting, imagine 3 referrals a week from 2 to 3 providers, what would that do for your practice? Because that adds up, doesn't it? 3 referrals from 2 providers is 6 patients a week. Or even if you had 3 providers only sending you. As far as how do you find the ones who would refer, and how do you make that contact with them? So let me share with you 3 ways that you may not have thought of before, or even if you have, you might not have thought of in this particular way. The first way is to this is actually something that a client of mine did. And he had his associate reach out on Nextdoor. So uh, that Nextdoor, for those of you who are new to it, is an app where you can connect with other people in your neighborhood about different kinds of things. And so he had his associate reach out to the people in the neighborhood and ask them, who do you like to see for XYZ? So, for example, one of the providers was a massage therapist, they asked about. Another one was a PT. So he asked people, they asked, not he, it was actually a she, is the associate, asked people through Nextdoor, which is an online app, and found out who people like as practitioners, and then reached out to those practitioners and mentioned that they heard from other people in the neighborhood that they were brought up as being well liked and wanted to discuss the possibility for mutual referrals and collaboration. And so that is one way in terms of finding providers to reach out to develop referral relationships with. And then it goes beyond that. So, what do you do after that, after you make that connection so that they start sending you referrals? So, now the second way of getting referrals from providers is working really well. We had a chiropractor client of ours start doing this, and he would actually get Because do you ever feel like, well, how am I going to get in touch with these providers? They're busy too, especially MDs. What will make them want to even talk to me? Or maybe I've had an experience before where I tried to reach out and they never, it was like crickets, or they didn't call back or connect back, or the front desk is trying to screen you out. Have you ever had these kinds of concerns, or maybe you've experienced it before and then you felt discouraged? Well, there are different ways to navigate around that so you're not having to go to the gatekeeper whose job is to screen you out. So one way is to reach out by LinkedIn to develop that connection. A chiropractor client of ours did exactly that, and he would get, using a script, he would get the literally just copy and paste, right, script, and then he would get these opportunities to meet up with the medical doctors via Zoom, was mainly how he was doing it. So then that way he was able to develop the relationship with that provider starting from a Zoom meeting. And then, you could also certainly propose connecting in person as well. So that's a second way that you can reach out to providers as well. And then again, you just need to have a system, a process in place that supports getting those referrals, because it's one thing for them to know about you, and another for them to start sending patients to you consistently. So in terms of and also like this if you're finding this helpful so far. So as far as the third way to actually get more referrals from providers. So the third way to get more referrals from providers is this is a great way to go around the gatekeepers. See, one of the reasons why perhaps if you have started a relationship with a provider and you even felt like, oh, we got along really well, they seem to really click and they seem to like what I had to say. And they said, oh, we'll send you referrals. Or maybe they didn't, either one of those situations, but the end result is you're not getting referrals, or you're not getting as many referrals as you'd like. Maybe you already get referrals from providers, but you wish you would get more referrals coming in. And so what is the reason why you may not be getting referrals from them? There are three reasons why they may not be referring as much as they could be yet, or have started to refer. One of those reasons is that even if you have shared things with them about your approach, they honestly don't understand how exactly it could help their patients, and to perhaps what extent you can help their patients. For example, they might have their own ideas about what it means for their patients to get chiropractic. And then they're just, even though maybe some of you do different techniques, or you also don't practice chiropractic in the way that most people in terms of think about it, in terms of high volume adjustments, or you do other kinds of things as well, maybe even do functional medicine kind of work. And so, but they end up boxing you into that. So what happens is that they will never really think about you to refer, or maybe they might not think of you as much to refer, right? The other reason is that maybe they're concerned, even though they've heard that chiropractic could be good. Maybe they just, again, think about it for certain kinds of conditions and situations, and they never even realize that certain types of things you could do could help their patient with other kinds of health issues and situations. And sometimes they won't refer also if they are concerned about this one thing. What is it? So a lot of medical doctors, conventional medical practitioners, are concerned about lawsuits. So if they're not confident about safety and efficacy, and you know how it is, there have been some bad rep out there about chiropractic, even though it is safe. There's still things, or people saying uneducated types of things and that goes around even within the medical community. Some are skeptical, right? Even though there's so much literature and science and many safe adjustments, many safe patients where you've seen yourself, and many chiropractors have seen, it's still if there's an inkling of concern about safety or efficacy, they're likely not going to refer because they're concerned about lawsuits. So that's one reason why you may not be getting referrals yet, or they're not referring as much as you that you could be already. And another reason is because of the top of mind awareness. Even if they know about you, if you're not top of mind awareness, what happens is they get busy. They're busy seeing patients. They have other people trying to get their attention. They have vendors getting their attention. There's sales rep coming in to tell them about all kinds of things, drug reps talking about things, nurses talking about things, all kinds of things that can get a doctor's attention or other medical doctors' attention. So if you're not top of mind awareness, then they may not even think to refer to you. Like you might think that you had a good relationship started, but then 2 days later or a week later, they kind of already forgot, wait, who's that again? What was that person's name? And so, and the third reason is you may not be getting as many referrals started off or so far or yet as many as you would like, is because they may not have that kind of a personal connection with, like you may not have as much of that personal connection click, right? Because most oftentimes, think about the people you like referring to, likely there's a part of you that likes them, right? So they might not know you enough to be comfortable yet. So then the goal is, how do you actually, if you were to rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10 of each of the 3 areas, how do you feel you're doing right now? On a scale of 1 through 10, when you think about perhaps one provider you would like to get more referrals from, or one provider you would like to start getting referrals from, with 10 being the highest. And the goal is to look at how can you get that more to 10. And so one way to do that more readily is to educate the clinical side of things. But the thing is, it's challenging to just have a conversation and get to know each other a bit more, and then again expect referrals, and that's that, right? It's what's more helpful is that you are able to educate them on some very specific things that would lead to the possibility of them giving you a referral, whether it is through a one-on-one conversation through Zoom, whether it is stopping by their office and talking to them one-on-one, or to a few doctors at once. Imagine having a few doctors in the office referring patients to you. What would that look like for your practice? That's leverage. When you get that happening from just one office, it's not like, I actually have, I've heard of there's actually a chiropractic practice management group that I had heard of, where they're encouraging their chiropractors to write down a list of 100 doctors or providers in the area. And I thought, oh my gosh, it feels so draining just even thinking about that, having to reach out to 100 providers. Whereas for us, especially as introverted visionaries, our clients, it's all about how can you get the most out of the energy you're putting in, so you can put less time and energy into it. Especially as an introvert, you don't have as much of this go all the time energy as extroverts might, right? So then as far as the I mentioned Zoom meeting or in person, or so you could speak to a couple of providers in their office, or you could also be doing a talk that is in front of a group of doctors. We've had clients who've done that in a group of 20 doctors or providers or 50 providers, and then educated them, and then also ended up getting referrals from that. You just need to have a way of knowing what to say, because it's different than just educating. Doing a lecture or a clinical lecture in front of providers is still different than doing a lecture, but then educating them clinically, also for the purpose of inspiring referrals. And then you also need to have a system in place, again, that supports those referrals, those first referrals coming in the door. And then what system do you have in place that supports the continuation of those referrals coming in without you feeling like you have to be bugging them too much or spending too much time doing this thing. So what I decided to do is to give you access to a free template that you could literally use to be getting your first referrals from medical doctors and other practitioners. So click on the link below. It's getmoremdreferrals.com. Again, it's www.getmoremdreferrals.com. So I'm giving you that free script that you could use to help you with getting doctor referrals and other provider referrals, plus a free training on the system of getting referrals. So we talked about a couple elements from the system today, and we talked about what are 3 ways to get more provider referrals. And the free training will take it further into what are some of the things to think about, even beyond getting these 3 ways of getting referrals from providers, so that you can start getting more medical doctor referrals or other provider referrals and focus on seeing patients more instead of wondering how you're going to get more patients, because otherwise it can feel too time consuming to do all this marketing, and especially if marketing isn't working. So feel free to go there, www.getmoremdreferrals, and we will see you next time.